The seaside piers round the coast of Britain stand as a powerful reminder of the achievements of Victorian engineers and entrepreneurs. At the turn of the last century, almost 100 piers existed. Now only half remain, and several face an uncertain future. A stroll along the pier remains the most popular activity for visitors to the British seaside, with 70% of them enjoying a walk over the waves. In July 1812, an Act of Parliament allowing a pier at Ryde in the Isle of Wight to be built was passed, and in 1814 the pier was finished, the first of its kind. Ryde Pier was very popular, not just for promenading, but had a constant and busy flow of passengers arriving on the steamers daily. In July 1812, an Act of Parliament allowing a pier at Ryde in the Isle of Wight to be built was passed, and in 1814 the pier was finished, the first of its kind in the world. Ryde Pier was very popular, not just for promenading, but there was a constant and busy flow of passengers arriving from steamers daily. A second tramway pier was built next to the first, opening in 1864, and horse-drawn trams would take passengers from the pier head to the esplanade. From 1886 to 1927, the trams were powered by electricity, and after that, until 1969, they were petrol-powered. Eugenius Birch. He was a 19th century English seaside architect and civil engineer. He was born in London in 1818. Between 1847 and 1851, he designed bridges in Nottinghamshire, but his claim to recognition are now chiefly based on the system of promenade piers, which he and his brother initiated, and which now form a feature of nearly every watering place on the English coast. The first pier at Margate was constructed and completed in 1853. It formed a new departure in marine construction. It was from the first a most successful work and has been considerably improved and extended ever since. As we have already seen, the pier was largely destroyed by a storm in 1978. This was not Margate Pier's first brush with nature. In January 1877, it was sliced through by a storm-driven wreck, and 40 or 50 people were marooned. They were not rescued until the next day. In all, Birch designed 14 seaside piers, of which 5 are still operating. The oldest one is one of Blackpool's 3 piers, the North Pier. That was finished in 1862. Then came Aberystwyth, followed by Eastbourne, and then Hastings. And in 1880, Bournemouth was added to the list. Piers are vulnerable to all sorts of dangers, mainly the weather, but also fire. The pier at St Anne's-on-Sea has managed to survive 2 major fires, but it survives in a very much reduced version. One major pier that did not survive was the West Pier in Brighton. On the 28th of March 2003, this magnificent pavilion was destroyed in an arson attack. As if this wasn't bad enough, on the 11th of May, the concert hall, which had already been seriously damaged in a huge storm the previous December, was also deliberately set on fire. And this fire destroyed the entire pier. The devastation was captured by a local cameraman. Now all we have is this sad skeleton as a reminder of the past. During the 1950s and 60s, before the fashion for foreign package holidays became all the rage, the end of the pier shows, or seaside specials as they were called, became the highlight of a summer season. Many stars entertained the crowd on piers across the country, from Laurel and Hardy to George Formby through to the Beatles. With its 3 piers, Blackpool usually saw a particularly good crop of the current entertainment royalty in residence. Here we have a selection of the kind of shows that we could have seen on the end of the Blackpool piers at this time. When Worthing Pier opened in April 1862, it was designed purely as a landing stage for the steamers, but in 1889 a pavilion was erected on the pier head. In 1920 it was sold to the Worthing Corporation, and in September 1933 it burnt down. It was replaced in record time at a cost of £18,000 and reopened in August 1935. In 2019, the Grade 2 listed Art Deco pier was voted Pier of the Year by the members of the National Piers Society. The pier at Clacton came second and the one at Clevedon came third. The current corona pandemic means that there will be no competition in 2020. Probably the biggest threat that piers face today is climate change, with its attendant rising sea levels and increasingly frequent storm surges. Cromer, Saltburn and Blackpool North Pier have all recently been significantly damaged by storms. The World Monuments Fund has recognised the threat of extreme weather events by adding Blackpool's 3 piers to their 2018 watch list. With seaside piers regaining their popularity, the next big challenge will literally be finding a way to weather the storm. With the current COVID pandemic curtailing foreign travel, holidays in the UK will again become more popular, and the resurgence of the pier's popularity will continue. It is important that we continue to care for these Victorian marvels, as they are a real cornerstone to our British identity. Join me again next time when we will look at the other great British institution, the pub. Goodbye for now.